A difficult childhood, an absentee parent, and multiple bouts of cancer. Hugh Jackman may play a fearless superhero in the movies, but when the cameras are off, he's endured plenty of pain and heartache. When Hugh Jackman was growing up, he had to endure one of the most difficult things that can ever happen to a child when his mother left him. After leaving young Hugh, his dad, and his brothers, she returned to her native UK with her daughters. In 2012, Jackman spoke to Australian Women's Weekly about how his mother abandoned the family when he was very young and how it affected him. He told the outlet, "One of the main things I remember is that horrible feeling that people were talking about you and looking at you because it was odd for the mother to leave." He was just 8 years old and living in Sydney at the time, and it took him years to come to terms with the fact that his mother was really gone. Jackman said he has since come to understand why she left. He told Australian Women's Weekly, "She was in hospital after I was born, suffering from postnatal depression. There wasn't a support network for her in Australia." In the decades since, the two have remained close, with Jackman and his mother often appearing together at red carpet events. He told the outlet, "There comes a certain point in life when you have to stop blaming other people for how you feel or the misfortunes in your life." When Jackman's mother picked up and left his family, he said he struggled to accept his mother's absence, with the possibility of a family reunion always giving him hope. That hope, however, was dashed a few years later, and that's when the young Jackman began to experience emotional issues. According to Jackman, his explosive temper surfaced when he was around 12 or 13, after his parents had briefly considered a reconciliation. He told Parade in 2015, "All those years I'd been holding out hope that they would get back together. But when his parents ultimately decided to remain apart, Jackman fell to pieces." He said, "There was this perfect storm of hormones and emotion." The actor said that during this time, he'd often take out his rage on the school rugby field. Other times, he was even known to bash his head into his school's metal lockers. Thankfully, he has since found ways of overcoming his anger issues, with help from family, friends, and professionals. With all the pain and trauma he felt during his childhood, Jackman brought with him more than just a bad temper into adulthood. He was also left with lingering emotional problems that followed him through his life. As a result, Jackman eventually came to realize he needed help dealing with them. The actor told Who magazine, "It helped me a lot. We all need a village."
Mental health is something we need to be talking about. It is real. It touches everybody.
He added that therapy helped him finally close the door on his mother's absence from his childhood, but it's also helped him in the present with his own family and friends. He told the outlet, "Most importantly, it's helping me to be more relational with the people I love in my life, and really understanding and living in their shoes, and being clear to be able to see them." Jackman made the acknowledgement during the press tour for his movie The Sun, and according to The Hollywood Reporter, the film also had psychiatrists on set to help the cast deal with the film's difficult subject matter. Jackman wasn't the first actor considered for Wolverine in 2000's X-Men. In fact, he was brought on at the 11th hour when original actor Dougray Scott dropped out to appear in Mission Impossible 2. Jackman's breakout performance made him an in-demand Hollywood heavyweight practically overnight. But as much as it was good fortune and circumstance, Jackman's casting as Wolverine also saved him from deportation. The year was 1999, and Jackman was coming from his audition in Toronto when he was confronted by officials about the status of his visa. From there, the customs officer told him that he couldn't stay in the country because he didn't have active employment. In an interview with Jimmy Kimmel, Jackman revealed just how serious the situation was, saying,
That guy literally is like, "Get off the phone now.
Really?
This is serious. You have no rights in here. You have no phone calls."
The officer also told Jackman that he was probably going to be sent back to Australia on a plane. Thankfully, however, the officer was a comic book fan, so when Jackman told him he'd just signed on to play Wolverine, he was given a pass in exchange for a few autographs from the future Marvel hero.
He was a mad X-Men fan.
If getting the gig playing Wolverine in the first X-Men movie wasn't enough of a challenge for Jackman, keeping the job proved just as difficult. For starters, Jackman admitted that he somewhat overpromised when asked if he could be ripped like a superhero by the time cameras rolled, and he showed up on set not nearly there. As a result, the film had to push back filming his shirtless sequences to give him more time to bulk up. But that wasn't the worst of it. He told We Got This Covered in 2019, "I was told that things weren't really working out as they hoped. I was about to get fired from my first Hollywood movie, the biggest of my career." Stressed and angry, Jackman was at a crossroads, but thankfully he found support from his then-wife, Deborah Lee Furness, whom he turned to for advice.
This guy's grown claws, and it's like this, he's a mutant. And I'm like, seriously?
Yeah, and
what did I know?
With his wife's counsel, Jackman learned to trust his instincts and stop being concerned about what might happen with his job. He said of his wife's support, "To me, that was love, someone that believes in you when you don't fully believe in yourself." Playing Wolverine wasn't just about delivering a strong performance as the wild-haired, rage-fueled mutant. It was also about looking and sounding the part. For the looks part, Jackman had to repeatedly work out to get into superhero shape for every movie, but his work didn't stop there. He also had to perform Logan's deep, gravelly voice, which was a far cry from the actor's ordinary vocals. He told BBC Radio 4's Front Row in 2023, I've done some damage to my voice with Wolverine. My falsetto is not as strong as it used to be, and that I directly put down to some of the growling and yelling. Though he's certainly proud of his performance, his drama school voice teacher probably wouldn't be so happy. All that damage couldn't have helped Jackman in 2015 when he suffered a vocal hemorrhage, forcing him to cancel a series of stage performances. Jackman has struggled with skin cancer throughout his life. Specifically, Jackman had basal cell carcinoma in 2013 and had a scare of it coming back in 2023, but the test results came back negative. While this cancer is often caused by cumulative sun exposure, it's rarely fatal. However, it can be harmful when it occurs on a sensitive part of the body. Since his first diagnosis in 2013, Jackman has had at least 6 treatment procedures. The actor also uses his platform to encourage people to protect their skin. He said on Instagram,
"Please wear sunscreen. It is just not worth it. No matter how much you want to tan, trust me, trust me, trust me."
It may seem hard to believe, but when Jackman first met his wife Deborah Lee, their dynamic was quite different than you'd imagine. The year was 1995, and the future X-Men star was a fresh-faced newcomer to acting, while she was an established Australian star who'd already appeared in a number of TV and movie projects. Meeting on the set of the Australian TV series Corelli, the pair married a year later. But when it came to starting a family, they had trouble. Jackman said on the Jess Cagle interview in 2017, "We struggled, a couple miscarriages, IVF. It's not easy, particularly on Deb." In the end, the couple chose to go a different route to grow their family, opting to adopt. The two are now parents to Oscar and Ava, who are both today well into adulthood. Jackman said, "Our motivation behind adopting was, where is the need? I want to tell my kids that it doesn't matter what sexual orientation you are. It doesn't matter whether your hair is straight or curly, if you're tall or short, man or woman, what race you are. What defines you as a human being is underneath all that." In Hollywood, there aren't many high-profile couples whose marriages have truly stood the test of time, as the life of a star is a complicated one. For decades, though, Hugh Jackman and Deborah Lee Furness were among those few. Meeting when Jackman was working his very first role out of drama school, they remained together through his meteoric rise to superstardom. They built a family together and could have been considered one of the last bastions of true Hollywood love. Sadly, it didn't last forever. Despite their many years of matrimony, Jackman and his wife announced their separation in 2023. The pair said in a statement, "We've been blessed to share almost 3 decades together as husband and wife in a wonderful, loving marriage. Our journey now is shifting, and we have decided to separate to pursue our individual growth." As one might imagine, the split wasn't an easy one, and a source close to the couple revealed that both Jackman and Furness were devastated by the separation. Nevertheless, both have expressed a desire to remain not just on good terms, but remain a family, even if they aren't married. They stated, "Our family has been and always will be our highest priority. We undertake this next chapter with gratitude, love, and kindness." While growing up in Australia, Jackman was raised by his father and later his stepmother. Jackman maintained a close relationship with his parents as he got older, and he invited his father to sets frequently. Christopher Jackman would usually sit quietly to the side working on crossword puzzles.
"My dad has seen everything I've ever done."
But in 2021, Jackman was dealt a crushing blow while filming the drama The Son when his father passed away. Christopher Jackman had been the rock of the clan for years, and Hugh took it hard. It was a heartbreaking time for the actor, who thankfully had a supportive crew and the aid of on-set mental health professionals, as well as his family and friends. As fate would have it, his father's passing came on Father's Day, and Jackman posted a poignant farewell on Instagram. He wrote in the caption, "My dad was, in a word, extraordinary. He devoted his life to his family, his work, and his faith. I pray he is now at peace with God." The death of Jackman's father isn't the only recent tragedy that the actor has endured. In April 2024, a good friend and colleague also died, deeply affecting the star. That colleague was Ray Chan, a visual artist who worked for Marvel Studios and who served as art director on a variety of Hollywood classics including Children of Men and Blood Diamond, among many others. Chan worked as a production designer on the actor's last Marvel effort, Deadpool and Wolverine. But just a few months before the film was released, Chan died at the age of 56. His Marvel friends, including Deadpool star Ryan Reynolds, were the first to speak about the enormity of the loss. Jackman also took time to remember Chan in his Instagram story, saying, "I am devastated to hear the tragic news about Ray Chan. There was not a day shooting when I didn't marvel at what he created. He created magic. There was this look in his eyes, the look of a man who loved his craft."